Why did humans evolve to cringe? You replay conversations, you cringe at things you said years ago. Maybe you even avoid doing things like going to the doctor, asking someone out on a date, all because you're worried you'll feel embarrassed. But what if embarrassment isn't a flaw in our psychology? What if it's one of the reasons humans trust each other?
This is Hold That Thought, the podcast that puts words to the thoughts and contradictions you carry, but rarely hear spoken out loud. Every episode, we explore the ideas, relationships, and invisible forces shaping how we move through the world.
By the end of this episode, you'll understand why embarrassment develops later than most other emotions, why people who visibly embarrass themselves are actually seen as more trustworthy, and how knowing about this uncomfortable emotion can actually let you be less controlled by it.
The feeling that makes you want to disappear might actually be the thing that helps people trust you the most. Hold that thought.
We had just freaked out right before this because we thought we weren't going to be able to see the Odyssey on IMAX, which we're not.
No.
That's okay. We're still going to go see it.
I did see someone was saying a few tips about viewing the movie, and they said it's super loud. She was like, I could not believe how loud it was, and my ears are ringing 10 minutes after the movie's over, so I might even bring my loop earbud things that I take to DJ sets.
Smart. A full immersive sound escape.
Yeah.
I heard an interview with Zendaya today where she describes how Tom Holland was the one who told her that she's the part of Athena because he got his part first, and then he came back from the first meeting and she was like, how was it? And he said, read the script again. And she goes, I don't need to, I peeked at it already. I couldn't help myself. And he was like, no, read it again, but with Athena in mind. And then she was freaking out, oh my God, I get to work with Christopher Nolan. No way. And they got to work together, which is so cool.
Wow.
My weekend was good. Was at a really beautiful wedding outside Denver, Tabernash, Colorado. Beautiful spot. My sister and I, right before I'd gone to the wedding with Luis, we had watched an episode of The New Little House on the Prairie on Netflix, which was our comfort show when we were younger. We watched it all the time. And then I was out at this ranch for this wedding and it was all these fields and mountains. And I kind of did feel like I was on the prairie homesteading.
Wow. And you got your own hat?
And there was a make your own hat bar on Friday night where you could make your own cowboy hat.
So fun.
They had a whole branding station. You got to pick your feathers. You could put matchbooks in it. It was I'll show you my cap after this. Yeah, it's really fun. The bows made me cry.
Wait, and you said that they were really creative.
And they half did it talking to the audience and half to each other, which I really liked. I feel like you don't often see that.
Yeah.
Often you see it people giving vows to each other.
Yeah.
So that gave me food for thought for mine. It was just very specific to them. I really loved it. Lucci had the biggest hat in the entire place and he kept saying he looked like Dumbo with ears. And then he had to go get it reshaped.
That photo of you two, you just both look like models. You look so good. And you look so yourselves.
In our cowboy hats.
And yeah. But your
cowboy versions. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I was in Tahoe with my parents, which I haven't done in a while. And I was dog sitting Winnie, who is our friend Becca's dog. I think this might have been the longest I've ever watched a dog.
Yeah, how was it?
It was so amazing. My parents were like, okay, you need a dog. Which
really?
They never, ever say.
Wow.
And we lost our sweet cat, Lucy, last week. So part of it was so that they could have some comfort. And I think my mom really loved having the dog, but she's not converted.
She's not converted.
No, she's just I know that this dog will ruin my life. She was constantly worried that Winnie was too hot or hadn't eaten enough or she kept giving her extra food. And I was like, Mom, stop.
You're not supposed to do that. Yeah.
It doesn't really work that way. And then she was so paranoid about bears getting Winnie.
Which is funny because Winnie's not a small dog.
No.
Winnie's quite large.
She's quite large. God, I miss her.
She's so cute. She's such a human.
She is such a Velcro dog. When I would shower, she had to be sitting outside the shower or she'd be barking and whining.
It's a doodle thing.
Part of the reason for going up this weekend was so that my dad could teach me how to drive the boat. And that was honestly way more successful than I thought it would be.
What did you think? We were going to crash it?
Well, it's really hard to dock a boat.
Oh,
And it's a big piece of machinery and expensive. And
totally.
So I was just nervous. And honestly, no one else in our family except my mom drives it. So we kind of had to do the passing of the baton figuratively because as they're aging, I can't even say that. That makes me sad.
Don't say that.
But as we were docking to pick my mom up, I was like, I only get one instructor. You don't get to.
True.
I can't have both
Smart.
of you yelling at me instructions or things.
Definitely.
And they were really chill and good about it. We had a grand old time.
Do you remember what they were like when you were learning how to drive?
I think learning to drive was a challenge. All three of of us have strong opinions.
My grandmother actually taught me to drive. My mama's mom.
Wow.
As in, like, we would be up in Vermont at their house, and she would just, before I had my permit, would let us go on rides. And she'd be like, watch the mailboxes. But she was so chill.
Yeah.
So chill. She was the best teacher.
I feel like a grandparent
so
is a good way
fun.
to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of think my parents should teach my niece and nephew.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There's just enough separation where you're not as sensitive. Like, I'm just so sensitive to my parents' feedback that...
Yeah, agreed. Okay, shall we get into embarrassment?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, when I was looking to do research on today's episode, I was, looking various places, hopped on over to Spotify to see if there were any podcasters or thinkers talking about embarrassment. The minute I typed embarrassment into Spotify, all these episodes that didn't even have embarrassment in the title about sexual things showed up. Like how not to be embarrassed about X, how to try out Y confidently. Like,
wow.
It was the surefire way into like the sex positive side of Spotify, which I was like, great, but so interesting. And I think it must show how often we're talking about embarrassment within that context. And I was like, interesting. But to start off the episode, we wanted to ground in the difference between embarrassment, shame, and guilt, because they all can kind of be thrown around, conflated a little bit. But I think if you really sit with the emotional experience of each is quite different. They all have a similar origin, which is in self-awareness, which we'll get into a little bit. But these three feelings that all come from self-awareness have very different characteristics. So guilt is more specific to your own action.
Okay.
It often leads to repairing a relationship. Shame is linked to just like a general negative assessment of yourself, and it's way deeper part of your core.
Okay.
And therefore it causes a withdrawing. And the research in social psychology, Brene Brown, her work in vulnerability and shame, goes to the part that shame is very closely tied with our fear of being alone and losing the people we love because we worry that we won't be loved by them. And then embarrassment is less coded into us. It's more what this one research paper said, ephemeral. So it's fleeting, and it's often brought on specifically by social infractions. Embarrassment squarely fits in that. To sum it up, shame often is turning inward. Guilt is often feeling badly and therefore is a manifestation that something needs to be repaired outward. And embarrassment is just frankly outward, and it doesn't get attached to core identity as much.
Okay, that's really interesting. And all three seem to touch on or relate to the threat of isolation.
Yes.
Maybe less
I
so
agree.
the first.
I agree. I think guilt, yes, probably too, because the reason to repair is to not lose something.
Lose connection.
Connection. Shame, certainly, but it's like a hiding of one's true self and therefore wanting to keep people close to you by not sharing that truth. And then embarrassment, I think part of it, like that ephemeralness, makes it feel less deep almost in a way, right?
It feels like superficial.
A little bit.
I mean, I think in what you've said so far, I would also come to that conclusion, but I feel like after the research I feel like there is great depth to it.
I think there's great depth to the reasoning. I think it's just less damaging, which like if we were having a conversation around shame right now, I think it would be a way different conversation than
embarrassment could lead to guilt or shame.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, the fact that they all have a similar origin in self-awareness, I think is interesting. Like
when you say that, what do you mean? Like self-awareness as a school of, or like a area of psychology? Yeah,
like your ability to have an awareness of self and self-image is the core of these three emotions. And research shows that you only start to develop feelings of embarrassment when you are able to look in a mirror and recognize that is me, which happens later in life cognitively around 2 years old.
Internal experience.
Yeah. And sense of self. Understanding of yourself as an entity.
Yeah.
Only then can you start to feel these three emotions.
That seems to align with in developmental psych. It's called differentiation.
Yeah.
Like once you start viewing yourself as separate from your parent figures or caretakers.
Which speaks to a little bit what we were just talking about. Like I feel like that makes sense intuitively that once you have a sense of differentiation between yourself and others, that's when you start to fear separation from them.
Yeah.
And then
you can't be separated from something that you are.
Yeah. So when are people embarrassed?
What I found was that embarrassment happens when other people witness or could witness something that threatens how you want to be seen. That's kind of like an overarching claim about it. People are embarrassed when they are caught breaking a social norm. So like you accidentally violate an unwritten rule of society. So like talking too loudly and
someone calls you out.
Or making a public mistake, which kind of sounds similar, but this was defined as demonstrating demonstrating a lack of skill or competence in front of others. So like tripping or mispronouncing a word, which is funny. I feel like, well, I actually don't want to get into that.
The Love Island thing.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tone. Receiving unwanted attention. So like being sung to on your birthday. That's our friend Bear's worst nightmare. Revealing private information that wasn't meant to be public. So like there's this sudden loss of privacy or control over your self-presentation. A personal text is shown to others. Or one example I saw was like your search history being shared, which would be awful. Like when would that happen? I was also seeing something about vicarious embarrassment or secondhand embarrassment, because I think that's something like the cringe factor we alluded to at the beginning that feels really present on social media right now. It's worth noting that people are more likely to be embarrassed when they air in front of members of their own social group, and people are less embarrassed when outsiders of their social group see them goof up, especially when the outsiders are seen as lower in status. Interesting, like the in-group, out-group, one poses a threat to you and the other feels benign or like less important.
Right. Which is funny too. Like I would posit also that there is definitely levels of closeness. Like I don't think I could get that embarrassed. Well, I can get embarrassed around you. You can always get embarrassed around something, but like once you hit a threshold, you have to be really embarrassed versus someone that you like don't know as well. Yeah. Because the image that someone you don't know as well but still knows you is a lot more delicate. Right. So you do one thing. Yes. You worry that that's like brought the whole house of cards down.
Right. There's fewer data points. Yeah. And so it is a bigger proportion of the amount that they know you versus like it would be a drop in the bucket for us. Yeah. Like I was thinking about how, remember when David was visiting and we went to dinner and I told the same joke / story, the same reference, full force that I have.
You also looked at me and Claire like, that was funny, right?
You and we were like, everyone at the table laughed, including you guys. And then I had the self-awareness of like, oh, I've definitely quoted that to you guys before. And I turned to you and Bear and I was like, you've heard that one before from me, right? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, many times. But well, you were really nice. Like,
but were you that embarrassed by that? Were you embarrassed?
I felt like, oh, Becky.
But like not deep embarrassment.
Not deep embarrassment. Yeah. That's to your point. Like, I don't think I could really be that embarrassed in front of you.
But if you had said that around people that you'd kind of just met or like making friends with, that would be humiliating. Yeah. Yeah, I was saying there's really been two theories similar to everything you just said around when people get embarrassed. A lot of investigators have tried to answer this question and two accounts emerged. There's the social evaluation model, exactly what you were just saying, which is basically that the root of embarrassment is anticipation of negative evaluation by others. Okay. But that's too limited because I think what your point was, it's not just negative evaluation. It's just a different evaluation than what we want. Right. So we can feel embarrassed even if it's not a negative situation like being sung happy birthday. Yeah. So to broaden that and to encompass all of the moments that you just mentioned, there was another researcher, John Stabini out of the University of Pennsylvania, who proposed that embarrassment is actually likely to happen around situations that a person anticipates is going to disrupt a smooth social interaction or an interaction where they don't know or have a clear sense of the social expectations of them. So there's this like awkward interaction or what he calls a dramaturgic. How do you say that? Dramaturgic account. It's just that the person suddenly doesn't know what to do next. Like, oh, I was just caught, and I'll say my most embarrassing thing recently with Louise because I think this is funny. But for you, it's like, oh, I was just caught saying the same joke twice. What do I do? That sort of question, that skip, is what causes a lot of our embarrassment.
Skip is such a good way to say it. Wait, what's the one with Louise?
Oh. Okay.
Wait, do you not want to say it? Or
no, I do. Oh, okay. But this is, speaking of like, you can still be embarrassed around your closest people.
I'm so worried.
Luis and I were watching the World Cup. He was talking about this one French player and he was like, and I mean, his dad was Zidane. And I was like, his dad was Zidane? He was like, yeah, his dad was Zidane. I was like, wait, I'm really confused. This French player's dad was Saddam? He was like, yeah, Saddam. And I was like, wait, Saddam Hussein's son is playing on the French soccer team? And he was like, absolutely not. That is the stupidest thing you ever could have said ever. I'm talking about Zidane, who was a famous French national team member in the 90s. Okay. I didn't know that. And he just kept saying one word and I couldn't hear him over the phone.
Also, famously, I have had multiple Spanish speakers tell me that Z and C and S are weird together.
So it sounded like he was saying Saddam, as if I should know. And I was like, there's only really one Saddam, I know. It was so bad.
Wow. Did he laugh?
He was dying laughing. And I was like, the laughing isn't helping.
The last one I saw was violating expectations about your identity. So when your behavior doesn't match how you want others to perceive you, like laughing at the wrong moment. You know who Jake Shane is?
Mm-hmm.
He had an interview with Ed Sheeran, and he's been roasted for this since online.
Wait, and he got shit for it?
He got so much shit for it, and he felt so embarrassed, but it's something that has been referenced a lot since, and he takes it like a champ on the chin.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
Really funny.
That's really funny.
The one that's like the most memeable lyric is the when your legs don't work like they used to before, and that came. My gran had lost her ability to walk, and the song was basically.
It's so funny.
So good.
That's a risky move.
Risky move. But the thing that people love about him is that he's so willing to goof up. And like, I actually heard a really lovely interview with him and Jake Shetty this week about, it was something about like the tension of having so much of your content based in self-deprecation. Like people really relate to him for that reason. And also at some point it wears down your sense of self or your esteem. But people adore Jake Shane because he's willing to like, he didn't cut that out of the
he could have.
edit. He very well could have.
Yeah. Well, there is research to show that when you show embarrassment, people are more likely to like you.
Sure.
Basically, showing your embarrassment has a positive effect on other people. There have been studies that will kind of try to elicit embarrassment to test this. These researchers at Cardiff University created 4 videos of a man who is in the grocery store and comes across a display of grapefruits and knocks it off. Like tumbles down. All the grapefruits. And one version, he doesn't act embarrassed, doesn't clean up after himself. Second version, he doesn't act embarrassed, doesn't clean up after himself. Third version, he does act embarrassed and doesn't clean up after himself. Fourth version, he does act embarrassed and does clean up after himself.
Love that one.
And both versions where he does act embarrassed perform better than both versions where he doesn't act embarrassed. Even the one where he
cleans up after himself.
People had more warm feelings to the guy who acted embarrassed and didn't clean up after himself than the guy that didn't act embarrassed but did clean up after himself.
That says, I guess, that we value more one's ability to like not take yourself too seriously or to be self-deprecating or light in your self-concept more perhaps than your pro-social behavior in that moment. Like,
I mean,
they didn't punish that person psychologically for not
cleaning up after himself. Yeah, exactly. And yes, the guy that was calm and rebuilt the display without acting super shamed or walking away was the most mature. That's how they viewed him. But that didn't tie to liking him or feeling warm towards him.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. I'm really bad at playing things off cool.
Me too. I'm always going to act embarrassed. But
I'm always like, And like it feels self-protective because it's like I'm in on it. Like I'm not trying to pretend that.
I think there's an element. I think it's both that you're in on it and you're showing that it was unintentional. Like, this isn't going to happen again. This was unintentional. So I think it appeases people because it's like, if you make a mistake or goof up, but so clearly it wasn't what you necessarily wanted to do, people are way more willing to be, to
let you off.
Yeah.
That reminded me of some research I saw, which said that researchers Matthew Feinberg, Datcher Keltner, and Rob Willer found that visible embarrassment functions as an honest sign of prosociality. People who blush, look away, smile awkwardly, or cringe after a social mistake are perceived as more trustworthy, more generous, more cooperative, and more committed to relationships. It's so interesting how much we garner or how much meaning we make of little features of social interaction like that.
And that's so coded into our evolution. It's crazy.
Speaking of which, embarrassment has evolved in humans as a way to grease our social interactions.
Grease.
Like lube us up.
I feel like we've talked about that. We've used that before.
Really?
I don't know.
Lubricate social interactions.
Yeah.
That was a quote from Christine Harris, PhD, a psychologist at the University of California, San Diego. I saw this in an article from the American Psychological Association. She said, group living has been important to us for a long time. And even if you don't intentionally want to violate a social norm, sometimes you do. Embarrassment serves the function of immediately and strongly displaying, oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
It's self-awareness. generous, like you talked about.
And showing that you're not going to do it again, right? Like
Yeah.
this unintentionality. I won't mess up again. So you're less of a threat.
Yeah. Kind of to what you were saying about how people perceive someone who is willing to acknowledge that embarrassment. I saw that social psychologists and researchers found that people who tended to express more outward signs of embarrassment while describing their embarrassing moments, such as tripping or passing gas in public, also reported a tendency to be more pro-social, that is, kinder and more generous. In fact, those easily embarrassed people proved to be more generous in a lab experiment in which they were asked to share raffle tickets with strangers. So it's not even that we perceive them to be more generous, they actually tend to be more generous. I'm sure that there are questions of correlation versus causation there, but it seems to be that if you are willing to acknowledge or express outward signs of embarrassment in public, this seems to suggest that you are also more generous as a person. Those things line up.
Interesting, because I also saw that another study had shown correlation there, but it was directly related to the fact that someone had been embarrassed in front of someone and was trying to kind of make up their self-image. So in the experiment, the participant was forced into an embarrassing situation in front of someone else. Later, phase 2, there was a question where the person who witnessed the participant in an embarrassing situation was actually in on the experiment and said, I need you to do this favor for me. Can you watch my dog for fill in the blank days? The participants that were in an embarrassing situation with that individual were way more likely to say, I will watch your dog for a longer period of time than those that weren't forced into an embarrassing situation.
They're compensating for their past error.
Yeah.
They're trying to repair their image, the other person's image of them.
So I wonder if there is a little bit of that going on with someone who feels more embarrassment chronically.
Yeah.
Might just be constantly on this rat race of trying to repair their image, which
that is a really
sad.
Interesting insight. I
don't know if that's true. I'm just pulling on different threads.
Okay, this gets at the reputational thing that we talked about last week with gossip. Being willing to openly acknowledge your embarrassment apparently is associated with a reparation of your reputation before you even apologize for the thing that was the social ill.
Oh.
So visual representations of your embarrassment, like blushing or
face falling. Crestfallen.
Embarrassment acts as a kind of nonverbal apology.
So someone doesn't get to it first.
Yeah. It communicates, I know I violated a norm. I recognize how this affected you, and I don't intend to keep behaving this way, as you said. The researchers think that part of the reasoning behind that is that it's difficult to fake genuine embarrassment. So people treat it as a credible piece of evidence that someone understands the mistake.
Yeah. I also think because evolutionarily it's so important, it's such a wheel greaser or whatever, a lubricant, we're super attuned. It's like we're talking about flushing on your face. Like it takes, our brains are really attuned to it.
Right.
So it's all these very subtle but strong signals that therefore can't really be faked because you can't fake subtlety in that way.
And physiology. Literal rushing of blood to your face is what I would assume is happening there. I didn't look. We're like, our friend used to get really frustrated when I would trip. Because it would give them secondhand embarrassment. And there's such a rush, like that sweat that you get when you trip. There's probably some element of survival instinct there. Like it's probably cortisol or something, because tripping means you could be in danger physically. But also I think it's probably related to embarrassment.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
certainly the after flush.
Like, to your point, it skips.
Yeah.
It disrupts the smooth social interaction.
And then you don't know how to act afterwards.
Yeah. And part of the dovetailing related to the theme of reputation from our last episode was this interesting parallel of like gossip says people know what you've done and embarrassment says I know what I've done.
Oh, that's really good.
And that gets to, again, your thing about self-awareness. Like there's some kind of power, and perhaps power is the wrong word here, but there's some kind of like reclamation of power in acknowledging you're in on the joke, basically. Like you know the thing that you did was embarrassing because it indicates to others around you that you know what the rules are. Because if you don't act embarrassed, they just think you're antisocial in the psychological term meaning of the word. Yeah,
I love that distinction. That's why I think some of the most embarrassing moments, like if I had to crystallize when I would feel most embarrassed, is when suddenly it feels like, for example, I'm caught in a white lie. And I think it's because it is the perfect coming together of if embarrassment helps you say, I know what I did was wrong, embarrassment in that situation is suddenly, what am I trying to say here?
Does it have to do with intersecting with your own self-concept? That layer of like, I don't want to be that person?
Yes, it's I don't want to be that person. Definitely, like, I don't want to be seen as a liar, obviously. And suddenly you're having to show that at an earlier point in time, you actively chose to not live in alignment with who you actually are if you were lying a little bit. And therefore, it is like 2 layers of admitting that your image isn't in alignment with who you are. It's like, yes, I'm a liar. And at an earlier period of time, I decided to like act differently in a way that that's true. Maybe this is too meta.
A little away from the accidental part of it, but I think there are multiple forms of embarrassment. There's being caught, which alludes to your own awareness of the ill, versus embarrassment in the accidental form is like you and I both are realizing this at the same time.
That's exactly it. It's a worse embarrassment because you weren't in control of the like, oops. Someone's forcing the oops out of you and you're like, fuck.
One is spontaneous, like the tripping or whatever, and then one is premeditated, which feels icky.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think the paradox of the pro-social, like it's interesting that embarrassment is like evidence that social connection matters to you and belonging matters to you. Because if you weren't embarrassed, that implies, at least, maybe this isn't congruent, but it implies to those around you, as I think we saw with that example of the grocery store, that you don't care.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What are some of the negatives of embarrassment?
Fear of judgment. Well, I
like
guess judgment, the possibility of judgment. An event that elicits embarrassment also elicits a fear of judgment.
Right. And then you might never do it again, even when you should.
Like, yes. I have something that I am curious for your take on.
Okay.
One popular study design asks participants to sing aloud and then forces them to watch a video of themselves belting out the tune sans musical accompaniment. Another clever study claimed to employ eye-tracking software as volunteers gazed at photos. Researchers led volunteers to believe they'd spent an inordinate amount of time focusing on the crotch of a fellow in a Speedo.
That's so good. But they were lying to them that they had done that.
They were like, we have this eye tracking software. They didn't. On first blush, embarrassment might seem like a very benign emotion, but as you start to explore the motivational effects that embarrassment has, there are substantial real world consequences, even people risking their health or their lives. That was, again, Dr. Harris. Case in point, shopping for condoms. Researchers at Duke University found that buying condoms often elicits embarrassment, potentially putting people at risk of sexually transmitted disease and unwanted pregnancies if they're too mortified to take the condoms through the checkout lane and like interacting with someone around buying them. And I was just talking to a friend about this because for years now, I've had the thought we can't have plan B behind like in one of those compartments where you have to call someone working at the store to come get it out for you because it disincentivizes you from following through with that purchase.
Yeah.
And I recently saw Plan B and oral contraceptives at an end cap in a CVS, and I was so happy about that.
Oral contraceptives?
Yeah, like the pill.
You can get the pill without
I think it was like last year. It was, I don't know.
Wait, I just picked my nose. We got to take that out. Embarrassing.
I was simultaneously heartened by the fact that they had made the move to make it more accessible.
Yeah.
But then also it was at an end cap towards the front of the store. I think people might still be fueled by embarrassment to avoid making that purchase and like picking it off.
Yeah.
And to think about the incentives and the tension between public health and profit and the costs in healthcare for unwanted pregnancies. There's so many layers there. The things in tension are public health and safety. And then also like CVS, that's obviously an expensive and probably popular purchase. And so they don't want people stealing them, and therefore they need it to either be that someone working at the store opens it for you or has eyes on you at the front so that you can't steal it.
Yeah.
They're incentivized by factors unrelated to
public health.
Public health.
Yeah, human psychology rules everything, right? Like that's such a subtle difference that one CVS could make over another and how much a ripple effect that would have over a community. It's crazy.
I also saw that similarly, men may fail to get prostate exams. Women could skip mammograms. Seniors may avoid using hearing aids.
Yeah.
And people of all stripes might fail to mention awkward symptoms or avoid the doctor altogether.
That's so bad.
Fear of embarrassment causes people to behave in really irrational ways, says Harris. Understanding more about the emotion itself can help people decide when they should think twice about embarrassment, preventing them from engaging in behaviors.
Yeah. Interesting, all the things you just said. At the top of the episode, I mentioned when I typed in embarrassment into Spotify, all these elements of sex popped up.
Yeah.
Everything you just said, like around going to a doctor or getting Plan B, is related to our bodies. It goes to like we have so much embarrassment of our own bodies.
Yeah.
I have no profound thought there. Just damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a call to be less embarrassed.
Yeah.
I mean,
wrap your arm around your embarrassment.
Exactly. Be okay with being embarrassed. It's endearing.
Yeah.
Makes people like you.
Right.
I also am a firm believer in saying, I'm embarrassed, but I think that almost verbally does what embarrassment is trying to do, which is like, I know that maybe you're thinking something of me, but I'm thinking it too.
Getting ahead of it a little.
Yeah.
I was thinking also about how in grad school, we learned that when clients self-report symptoms, you always have to leave space in the back of your mind. Actually assume, for the most part, that people, more. When someone says on the intake form that they drink twice a week, usually it's more than that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean make big sweeping assumptions about people, but it means allow a margin of error. Would you call that like a margin of error? I was at the doctor yesterday and they asked about marijuana use or like sexual activity and stuff. And I feel like doctors probably have the same awareness of our embarrassment in self-reporting, that type of stuff. And it is embarrassing. I was next to my doctor, new doctor, and she was like, "You getting any?" And I was like, "Yeah." Picked her up. They had me fill out the form online ahead of time. So I was like, "Oh, that's cool that I don't have to say this in person."
She was like, "Let me validate
in person." She redid the form with me. It's just kind of
defeats the early form.
Yeah.
She's trying to get some additional color.
Some color. Exactly. That's so funny. What's an embarrassing moment that has stuck with you?
Love that. It was my first job in my year between high school and college. I worked for a few months at my friend's dad's company, which was a software company. I would go into the office every day. It felt like a big girl job. This was my first office job. One day the boss called me in and was like, "Hey, I'm trying out this new idea. Can you read this up? Tell me what you think of it, and then send it back to me on Slack. Any thoughts you have?" Just to me, okay? No one needs to really know about it yet. I'm back to my seat, did this whole thing, wrote some notes, didn't know how Slack worked yet. Sent it to the entire company channel, tagging him and saying, "Hey, read this, here are my thoughts."
Wow.
And everyone was like, "Wait, what? It was humiliating. He called me and he was like, "I kind of wanted that to stay private." I ran out of the office and into a stall in the bathroom and sobbed.
Honey.
It still stays with me, and it was all because I didn't freaking understand all the hashtags at the time. Really threw me off.
Yeah. Well, I feel like technology is ripe for these kinds of moments. The one I was thinking about when I was preparing for this episode was when I was at Midcore this summer program I did. It was like entrepreneurship based, and we had to do a lot of market research. So we would reach out to professionals in the field related to our innovation. And I was reckless in my outreach and was doing some copy pasting. And I
reckless in your outreach is so funny.
I copy pasted a message to multiple people on LinkedIn, and this guy wrote me back and was like, "Hi, Rebecca. While I appreciate your initiative, I want to note that you addressed me by the wrong name. Just for your edification and your professional career to come, it's really important to double check these things." Honestly, if I reread that message, I would break out in hives. It made me so anxious, and I didn't even know the guy. It was a gift.
Yeah, it was
a
really
gift
nice
of him to be like, "You made this mistake, and I'm actually not going to work with you, partly related to this." It's a lesson I had to learn.
There's such a fine line between embarrassment and shame there.
Yeah. You can't always control how someone internalizes something. Like, I felt some shame from that, despite his even keel.
Right. Exactly. It's funny that we both brought up kind of like office professional things. The stakes feel high. When I was reading about when people get embarrassed and then was reflecting on when I should have gotten embarrassed but haven't, I realized so much of it is the disconnect between, or the worry that people aren't going to see you as you want to be seen.
Yeah.
Because can't believe I'm going to say this. I peed my pants a lot when I laughed until I was way too old. Like literally my doctor had to give me the Kegel exercises and it changed my life at the age of ripe 14. And my best friends in elementary, middle school made me pee my pants laughing all the time. And I just was not embarrassed.
That's cool, T.
I was just like,
punk rock.
This is not embarrassing because the two of them love me and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I don't do it anymore. I kind of miss it. Is that too embarrassing to include?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, I love you.
I love you.
I'm excited to try to get you embarrassed in the next few weeks.
I know. Keep an eye out for my blush.
Bye. Thank you, Phoebe Fry, for this episode's music.
And thank you, Emily Kiernan, for the beautiful cover art.
If you like this episode, please like, share, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next week.